So A Tale of Our Time is something that we can relate to the characters, be it their dreams or their struggles, no matter what the setting would be. So I think it's really about being able to relate to them.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tales of Our Time. This is a show where we discuss the stories that move us, what makes them so meaningful, and why others could or should find meaning in them as well. This is not a spoiler-free show, so bear that in mind as you continue to listen. We tackle movies, books, comics, and more. Where there's a story, there's a reason to read or play. I'm your host, Amanda Stevens, and today I'm joined in studio by Mika Ko. Hi, Mika.
Hi, Amanda.
Is there anything you'd like to say to introduce yourself?
So I'm a graduate student, and in my spare time, I spend like 90% of it either reading manga or playing video games.
Very relatable hobbies, I think,
Yes.
for a lot of people who would listen to this show, for me as well. So what's the story that you have brought for us today?
So today I'd like to share about Honkai Star Rail. So it's a recently, like, a new game that was launched, I think last month, like April 26 or so.
Wow.
So even if it's only been recently launched though, like there have been news about it since I think late last year. So I've also been looking forward to playing it for some time.
So this game, Honkai Star Rail, is related. It is published by MiHoYo or HoYoVerse, who is the same publishers that created Genshin Impact.
Yeah.
You said they are related kind of towards the end.
Yeah.
Right.
So that one is still just speculation right now. Because
Okay.
the story right now in Genshin is that something about the celestial beings don't want them to learn more about the outer universe,
Oh.
like outside their world. And then the story right now in Honkai Star Rail is they're a group of adventurers going between different worlds.
So they are
So-
the ones that the celestial beings are like, don't.
Right now, I think it's more of it's possible that Genshin World is one of the worlds in like the multiverse or something.
I always find it impressive, even though I have not yet played Genshin myself, when games or movies manage to create a universe like that does feel big and kind of surprise you with it. I think the multiverse theory is getting a little bit played out for a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
But it doesn't mean that it can't still like hit really well. I like looking at it as like kind of a different planet or a different system as well in this way. But I think a lot of people might just be hearing about this for the first time. So would you mind giving us a summary of the story that is in it?
Oh, sure. So then I think actually like Genshin and Star Rail are two very different games, like game mode wise. So Star Rail is a turn-based strategy game. So it's more like Persona 5 gameplay wise.
Oh, cool.
But then you can also explore the like space, but it's just not open world type of game. So in this game, you follow the story of these explorers are known as trailblazers. So they go between different worlds on like this fancy space train.
Oh,
And-
that's why it's Star Rail.
Yeah, that's why it's Star Rail. Like they
Okay.
go on the Astral Express to travel between different worlds. And in here, like the mission of these travelers is that there are these things called stellarons, which they are described as being like cancer of worlds. So like they would bring disasters. So this team of like their trailblazers are able to contain these stellarons in the different worlds.
Oh.
Kind of like go between different worlds to save them. But I feel like more than that kind of narrative, what makes it interesting is that you learn more about the characters in these different worlds, like what are their current political struggles in some cases, or like even just like their family struggles.
Wow. So would you say that it's kind of like an overarching story or like a framing narrative that contains many smaller vignettes?
Yeah. It's exactly that. Like there is this overarching story of you have to go to different worlds, but even within one world, there's already a lot of stories and a lot of character interactions.
I actually love that kind of story. I played something that is on a much smaller scale. I feel like was like that back in, I think, 2011, where it was just you trying to get to a tower, but what was really the story was kind of finding out about what happened to all the other people that you would encounter, or even people that had already like died a long time ago, just in your journey. And like that was the most rewarding part of it. It was not actually like you getting there, right? I guess, is there anything that kind of ties you said that this story is still in development.
Right? Yeah, it's still an ongoing story, because the way that they do it is every month or so they will release a new patch of the game. And in here there will be more story quests, both for like, there are like main story quests, so to move the like overarching plot forward, and there are also character story quests for specific characters, like to get to know them more, or like to tell their like stories.
I also think that's really interesting, just to have like an ongoing story for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And to have jumped on this like right at the very beginning, I think will make it really rewarding. What or who are the characters that are in the framing narrative then? I guess, what's the story there? Like, why are they doing what they're doing?
So I
Do
think,
we know? It's brand new, so maybe
actually
we don't.
right now we don't really know their motivations yet. So right now, like, you have main character, which you can name. So you can name him or her, and also choose the gender.
Okay,
like,
so
you
we'll
can
just
name
call them
them
main
anything.
character.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
main character is actually like amnesiac. So like, you don't know their past. And then the thing about them is they're like a receptacle for one of the stellarons.
Oh,
Yeah. So like,
the world cancers?
yeah, they put one of those inside her, but then aside from that, you don't know why,
God.
or like, they're just like the main character. But the funny thing about this main character is they're absolutely feral. Like you could go, like, if you're exploring the world, like you could click on the trash cans and then they'll be like digging through them.
Oh my
Or like,
God.
if you go to a fountain, you can make them collect the coins in the fountain.
Oh, sick. So you kind of make yourself as feral or like noble as you would want.
Yeah, even with the dialogue options, you can choose like a very unhinged option, or you can choose like a very polite version. So it's up to you how you want to make your character known to this world.
Okay. I understand like why many times the main character doesn't necessarily have like a heavily anchored personality in these kind of games. What about the characters that surround them?
So aside from, like, there are two other companions of like the main character. So one is called March 7, and it's this very enthusiastic and bubbly girl. So the reason why she's called March 7 is they found her trapped in ice, and the day they found her is March 7. So she also doesn't remember her past, so they're all kind of like amnesiac.
Okay.
So that's why she's called March 7. Then the other character is Dan Hung, who is a more mysterious, quiet guy. So right now, the story behind him is he's trying to run away from his past. That's why he's on the train and like traveling between different worlds.
Okay.
But other than that, you also don't know yet. Aside from these two companions that are with the current story quest, they're the ones that you would accompany more often. But there were two other characters on the train with them. So one is Welt, who is like also a character from MiHoYo's other game, Honkai Impact 3.
Okay.
So right
this
now,
is their extended universe like, coming together.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's part of their extended universe where he's actually the exact same guy as the Honkai Impact 3 Welt. But then the other characters would be multiverse versions of the other characters from the other game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then aside from that would be Himeko, she's actually the owner of the train. But so far, you also don't know her motivations for traveling between different worlds, other than she found the train, she fixed it, so she started traveling.
Cool. So, all right, that's an interesting idea. Like, it makes sense from a gameplay point of view, but it is interesting that you have this crew of people kind of unmoored by their past, going in to try and fix these worlds when they either don't remember their past or they don't want to.
Yeah, so I think part of the story later on would be uncovering their past, or also like them finding out who they are and like facing their past.
Yeah. It sounds like it is definitely rife for them to create more. So this is a really new game. You said it was released in April this year. So it's been around for
Like
less than a month, maybe.
Yeah.
How did you find out about this game? What was your first experience with it?
Oh, so mostly because I also play Genshin. So when I heard that like the same company was releasing a different game, then I got interested and like signed up for the pre-registration.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think other than that, what made me want to try out the game is this video clip of Himeko like her ultimate attack is her sipping tea while her cannon blasts the enemies. So it was really funny. So it was because of that I was like, oh, I gotta play this game. But I think the funny thing about this game is it's a gacha based game. So to get the characters, you have to kind of gamble to get them. Aside from main character March 7 and Danheng, all of the other characters are through gacha mechanics.
Okay.
So I actually haven't gotten like the character like I started playing the game for yet.
Oh,
So
okay.
but I feel eventually I will get her. Yeah.
Someday. Okay. And now, what makes this game so meaningful to you?
I feel like in addition to like one thing about why I like playing it is it's relatively easy to play. So you don't have to be a gamer because it's like turn-based strategy game. So it's kind of a more relaxing way to distress. And also like it's really about the interactions with the characters and even the NPCs.
Yeah.
So even with the side quests, you'll find out about like this person's struggles with like their like boyfriend being in another planet, or like there's also another character that her struggle is that there's like a group chat where people are bashing on her, so you have to help her with that.
Oh my God.
Or also because I think they were bashing her because she kept ordering things online, so they were like accusing her of siphoning funds, but
Yeah.
it's just her money, she's just rich.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh. So, is that what makes the narrative so intriguing to you? These things that you pointed out are very real world problems, like very relatable problems,
Yeah.
despite the story being traveling from like planet to planet
Yeah.
to try and save it. It feels like a lot of the interactions that you've picked out are very like everyday kind of things.
Yeah. I think that's a big part of why I like it so much. Like with the current, it's only been released, but like with how it is right now, I really like it because they make the problems so relatable.
And so then, why do you think that others should care about the story in Honkai Star Rail? Or another way to put that would be, why do you think that Honkai Star Rail should be considered a tale of our time?
So I think the thing with Honkai Star Rail is it's a like collection of smaller stories built upon a bigger story. So at some point you will find a story that you relate to. So for example, like one of the story quests for an NPC is that his thesis kept getting rejected. So your job is to help him like submit his thesis. So relatability for a graduate student.
Like
and,
you.
Like me.
Right.
And then like there's this other NPC that his story is that he's from a long life species, so like thousand of year lifespan, and his master was a short life species, so like normal human 100 years. So in the span of decades that they were working together, he hasn't been able to like finish his work. So his master passed away, and like now he's trying to come up with a way to make his master's draft come to fruition. But he was like, I was a bad student, so I don't actually know how to make this make this boat thing. So now your job as the main character is to motivate him to like finish his plan.
How did you solve that? That's not the graduate student.
Yeah, different student.
Different student. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So actually for the second story, how it goes is that you go to this like spirit medium of some sorts to like have like a minute conversation with his master, and it was something like his master saying that draft was actually when I was a very naive craftsman too, that's why it's not working out. So it was more of shattering the student's perception that his master is this like on a pedestal.
On a pedestal,
Yeah. Like putting him down from that pedestal and saying to him that you can make something better by yourself. Don't just rely on your master's plans. Yeah.
Kind of like looking at the many facets of what people are, not just your image of them.
Of someone. Yeah. Yeah. So kind of like reminding you that even someone you look up to is also human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though you went like through kind of a circuitous video game way of it.
Yeah.
The message being something that is very relatable.
Yeah.
And everyone would find something in here. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
So we're almost out of time ourselves, but if you had to give this story, Honkai Star Rail, a catchy one-line subtitle, what would you pick for it?
So I think because for this game, like you're called trailblazers. So I guess for me it would be something like blaze forward or something.
I was already struck when you said like, oh, the characters are all called trailblazers. I think that's a very fun little
way
like,
to describe them.
yeah, it's a fun way to immediately empower you. Like, congratulations, this is your job. You're a trailblazer.
I know.
You're gonna change people's lives.
Also, another big thing about this game, like you have to make the characters likable or like make them relatable because it's a gacha game. So you have to make the people invested in their story enough to actually want to get the character.
Maybe invest is another word that we could use. Like, that's a good one. Investing your time, investing your energy.
Yeah.
So to solve people's problems, to make those connections.
Yeah.
Maybe investing in connection.
Connecting destinies.
And it's nice. It's a video game about, it's a
about
video game
their
about
destiny and like
their
how-
destiny,
yeah.
changing using the grand word destiny, but like changing the fate of the world,
Yeah.
right? So like connecting destinies, I think isn't so far off.
Yeah.
Does that feel right to you?
Yeah.
Okay. So Honkai Star Rail connecting destinies. It feels good. So unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today. Thank you everyone for joining us on Radio Taiwan International. This has been Tales of Our Time. I'm your host, Amanda Stevens, and I've been joined by my guest, Mika Ko.
It's been a pleasure being here too.
Yeah, thank you for joining me, for having this conversation. I think this is fun that this is the most recent story we have talked about so far. So if what you have heard today catches your interest, you should go and investigate Honkai Star Rail by MiHoYo or HoYoVerse, depending on where you are, what version you would like. Anyway, this has been Tales of Our Time. I hope that you have enjoyed learning about Honkai Star Rail, Connecting Destinies, a tale of our time. We'll see you later, everyone.